Right in the heart of Rome, there's a building that has basically defied engineering logic for almost 2,000 years. It's so advanced, it still puzzles some of our brightest minds. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets of the Pantheon.
You know, when the great Michelangelo first laid eyes on the Pantheon, that's what he said. He thought it was the work of angels, not men. And honestly, when you start to dig into the sheer audacity of how this thing was built, you kind of get why he'd think that.
So, that's the big question, right? How is it still here? This question has been driving people crazy for centuries, but some really recent breakthroughs have completely changed the game. So let's peel back the layers and find the secrets hiding in plain sight.
Okay, before we jump into the how, we really need to get a handle on the what. What were these Roman builders even up against? Because to appreciate the solution, you have to understand just how immense the problem really was. Just try to wrap your head around that number. 5,000 tons. That's the weight of the concrete dome, just hanging up there over this massive open space. And here's the real kicker. There is absolutely no rebar, no steel skeleton, nothing like what we'd use in any modern concrete building.
And that fact right there gets to the very heart of the Pantheon's paradox. I mean, think about it. After 2,000 years of innovation, it still holds that record. By today's standards, a building this big, made with these materials, it just shouldn't exist. It should have collapsed a long, long time ago. And yet, there it is.
All right, so let's talk about the visible genius of the design, the stuff you can actually see. The Pantheon wasn't just some technical showpiece, it was a deeply symbolic space. It was designed to connect people with the cosmos.
Now, the Romans weren't just showing off their geometry skills here. No, this perfect sphere, it meant something. They were building a model of their universe, making you feel like you were standing at the very center of a perfectly balanced cosmos. And that famous hole in the roof? Yeah, that's not a mistake. It's a clock. As the sun moves, a sharp beam of light sweeps across the dome and down the walls. It's a giant cosmic timepiece. This wasn't just a window, it was a direct connection between the building, the heavens, and the rhythm of the Roman calendar.
And this design was so powerful, its influence just rippled through time. Fast forward to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and you've got architects like Charles McKim using the Pantheon's blueprint to design major buildings on American university campuses. They copied its huge dome and, more importantly, that idea of a single spherical room designed to totally envelop and inspire you. The spirit of the Pantheon is literally built into our modern centers of learning.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about what you can't see, because the true genius of the Pantheon is hidden from view. So let's zoom in on the invisible engineering that has kept this impossible building standing. So you look at it from the outside and you think, okay, red brick, got it. But don't let that fool you. That brick is just a skin. It's hiding an incredibly complex and clever structural system inside its massive, 20-foot thick walls. The real work is happening in secret. You gotta ask, right? If the dome has no rebar, how is the whole thing not just a pile of rubble? Well, the secret is this whole series of brilliant architectural tricks hidden deep inside the structure, all working together to channel those enormous forces. It's an incredible, multi-layered solution. First, you've got this hidden skeleton of brick arches that push the dome's weight down into huge piers. Then there's a hidden buttress on the outside for extra support. But the real stroke of genius is in the concrete itself. The builders actually used a graded recipe, heavy stuff at the bottom, and super lightweight, porous pumice at the very top. This invisible framework is the secret to its incredible endurance.
For centuries, literally centuries, the go-to explanation for why Roman concrete was so amazing was this one magic ingredient, pozzolan, a special volcanic ash. And for the longest time, everyone just figured, okay, that's the magic bullet, end of story. But it turns out there's a much deeper, more dynamic secret at play.
And here's where the story takes a huge turn. A recent study from MIT came out and just flipped the whole thing on its head. Turns out, the Romans weren't just mixing in regular lime. They were doing something called hot mixing with quicklime at super high temperatures. And this process created a secret weapon inside the concrete, one that could literally fight back against time.
So here's how it works. A tiny crack forms and a little bit of water seeps in. That water reaches these little pockets of reactive lime left over from the hot mixing process. The lime dissolves and triggers a chemical reaction, and that reaction creates new crystals that spread out, fill the crack, and chemically stitch the concrete back together. So the Pantheon isn't just sitting there being strong, it's literally healing itself. It's a dynamic, almost living material.
This incredible discovery, this idea of self-healing concrete, it forces us to ask a much bigger, much deeper question. Did the Romans know exactly what they were doing? Or was this just some kind of amazing, happy accident?
And this brings us to a really cool idea called material engagement theory. It basically suggests that these ancient builders had a relationship with their materials that we can barely imagine today. It wasn't about just following a recipe, it was like a hands-on conversation with the stone and the ash and the lime, a kind of co-creation that blurred the line between the builder and the built. You know, it's not just architects thinking this way. Philosophers like Martin Heidegger talked about this kind of thing. He argued that materials aren't just inert, dead stuff. They have a thingness, an inherent quality that a true craftsperson engages with. The Roman builders would have understood the thingness of their materials in a way we've maybe lost. And some modern thinkers are pushing this idea even further. They're suggesting that maybe matter isn't passive at all, that in some way it has agency, that it's an active participant in its own creation. It's a wild idea, I know, but it's a question the Pantheon kind of forces you to ask. So, what does this all boil down to? It means the Pantheon isn't a closed book. It's not some dusty old monument with a story that's already been told. It's a living document, and with every new technology, we find a new way to read it.
And you can see this long arc of discovery playing out over centuries. You start with the Romans building it. Hundreds of years later, Renaissance architects are crawling all over it, trying to figure it out. Then you fast forward to 1985, and we're building the first computer models. And now, today, we're using 3D laser scans to find secrets hidden inside its columns. Each generation has new tools to ask deeper questions.
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. Maybe the Pantheon's biggest secret isn't its chemical formula or its geometry. Maybe its greatest secret is how it forces us to completely rethink our relationship with the material world. It makes us wonder if true mastery isn't about domination, but about a deep, respectful conversation. The stones are still speaking. The question is, are we learning how to listen?